faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's
to Superwomen Live, the official show of the Melbourne Vixens and Netball Victoria, proudly presented by the Melbourne Vixens premier partner Jason Betting, helping the Melbourne Vixens rest and recover. You can see the Superwomen of Netball, the Melbourne Vixens, in 6 Super Sunday games at Hisense Arena. Tickets at Ticketek. To find a date that suits you, visit the melbournevixens.com.au for the full fixture. Joining myself and Tristan Fernanda in the studio right now is a 42 test capped player for the Australia Diamonds, selected at 18 and one of the youngest players ever to represent Australia, a captain and feared goalkeeper and defender for the Vixens, known for her strength, leap and intercepts, the 2011 club MVP, a Netball Victoria legend of the game, 5 premierships in national competitions.
Are you going to keep going?
We're only about 60% of the way through. Bianca Chatfield, who outside of playing netball has a Bachelor of Applied Science in Human Movement and a Bachelor of Education, is a qualified teacher, successful leader and businesswoman, and the first of our Superwomen Live here on SEN Sports Overdrive. Bianca Chatfield, thanks for joining us on Superwomen Live.
She's blushing as well.
Wow. Thanks for that introduction.
Welcome aboard, Bianca. It's lovely to have your company and also to have Netball Vic and the Melbourne Vixens aboard. Premier partner Jason Betting fully behind it as well. We'll get to chat about the pre-season and the opening game against the Firebirds next week. But you've been up in Bendigo with the rest of the squad and just embracing your country supporters, because netball's obviously so important to the rural folk of Victoria. And tell us how that went over the past couple of days.
Yeah, absolutely. Firstly, really exciting to have a netball show. We're, really think that this has got a lot to offer, and I'm sure lots of our fans will get on board throughout the season and ring in and listen to all things netball. So we were up in Bendigo, and I think for all of us players, so many of us come from country or regional areas, and we would never get to where we were if it wasn't for our communities and our local communities, and especially for your local netball teams, and not just the coaches but also the umpires and the players and everyone, all the administrators at country areas that help with the community. And so we went up there and we thought Bendigo's a great place. They love their netball. We've been up there and done many coaching clinics before, and this offered us an opportunity to go and try and squash it all into 3 days, and also include a very important practice match against the Adelaide Thunderbirds.
We'll talk about that in just a tick. You had the Women in Leadership breakfast as well, important role that you girls play in terms of being role models for the girls around all of Victoria and the Melbourne metropolitan area. How did that go?
It was a really, I think, a great event to have on there. There was lots of enthusiastic, both a lot of females in the room, but there were some men in the room as well. Liz Ellis was there as Telstra ambassador. Sherelle McMahon, obviously, a great leader here in Victoria, spoke, and it was just great to hear their insights. And I think especially just for the women in Bendigo, just to see that they are just normal people who have managed to achieve something great, and that if you aim to do it, you probably can do it as well.
Absolutely. Now 9429 11 16. All the girls out there, it'd be great to hear from some of our netballers out there, Teo. 9429 11 16. Our good friend Ben from Hillside might get involved on the SMS. 0433 98 11 16, the all-night appetite netball reporter. But to business, and the Thunderbirds were your opponent.
Yes, they were.
I believe you led by 14 points at one stage, and I don't just shed some light on how it ended up and what went wrong.
Well, if we perhaps had finished the game at half-time, we would be a little bit happier today than what we are, but we got off to a flying start, and over all our pre-season games we've played, our starts have probably been our biggest weakness. So that was the focus, get out there, have a great start, but unfortunately we forgot about the rest of the game and got up by 14 goals, then I think up by 4 at half-time, and then they just caught up with us, and a good lesson to learn. And as you know, the older ones probably know in the team that these sort of teams like Thunderbirds, like Sydney, there's no teams that will really lie down and let you just beat them. So they just kept coming back to us, and every time we made a little error, then they would make us pay. So yeah, I think we can take a lot of great things out of that. One thing I think is we should just focus on the fact that we got our great start that we were after, and we've just got to take some positives out of that, because our first quarter was awesome.
One of the great things about netball, though, is that the momentum shifts are so hard to arrest. And as a leader in a team, what do you do and what are you thinking out there on the court when you know a team's got the run on and they're walking on air and there's not a great deal you can do to stop what they're doing to you?
Yeah, that's when I might tactically pretend I've got an injury and call time, or try and break the momentum. I'm not sure if I'm meant to admit to that, but that could come into it.
You'd lead from the front.
Yeah, lead from the front, of course. I think a great team has so many weapons in their toolkit, I guess, where you've got to be able to bring out different things, whether it be different defensive structures or, change up the way we're playing things in the attack end, quicken the ball up, slow it down, whatever it is, but you've just got to be able to have lots of options.
So with all that said, how would you assess the pre-season? From the outside looking in, it seems a little bit up and down. You had the pre-season cup a few weeks ago, and we'll talk about your opponents next week because they beat you quite comfortably in that, off the top of my head. And also, you got through to the final, which must have been a positive for Julian and the squad.
Yeah, our pre-season has gone for a long time because realistically, the season last year finished really early. It finished by June because of the Australian commitments. And so by about September, October, a lot of the girls were getting back into pre-season. So, we're not really starting until April. So it's a long time. The one opportunity we've had this year we haven't had in the past is to be able to go over to New Zealand and play most of the teams in that. So all 10 teams went over. And even though we did finish second, I think we did a great job to get to that final. And there was a lot of us, I guess, vying for those spots. And we got there and we played the Firebirds. And, they were tough. Their skills were very slick. And, I think they showed why they won the premiership last year.
What makes them so good? I think they came as close as they have in a long time to being defeated. They had the 15-run unbeaten streak in the 2011 season. The West Coast Fever managed to draw with them. What makes them so good? Is it the, as you put it, slick and the speed with which they pass? Is it the maturity they've got within the side? What makes a netball team more dominant than others?
Well, I think one very important factor would be the fact that they have Romelda Aiken, the 6'6" Jamaican shooter. She's quite good. And they just probably have learned over time that you just can't make mistakes. So they've got rid of all the mistakes out of their game. Very limited turnover rate they would have. And, when you do that, they score off every centre pass. So they do it very well.
I guess to compare the club netball, though, to the international netball, the exchange of results between Australia and New Zealand has been so great because at no point in time has any one side really felt like they owned the other one. But in club netball, this Firebirds team really has that feel of a winning combination about it, the same way the Vixens had that feeling in previous seasons. What do you do to actually chip away and create seeds of doubt and plant them in the opposition and let them know that, hang on, you're not invincible, we're coming for you?
Well, I think, boys, I'm not sure if you know, but there is such a thing in our competition called the Premiership Curse. So in the 5 years that the competition has been around, every time someone has won, the next year they don't actually make the finals. Wow. That happened to us in 2009. In 2010, didn't make the finals. So it's happened to every team so far. So we are hanging on the fact that the Firebirds...
Something's going to hit the Firebirds.
That Premiership Curse is going to hit us at some stage, or hit them at some stage.
Does it just take one loss and then you get on the text to some of your friends in the Firebirds team, curse is coming?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's a big momentum shift. But no, on a serious note, with the Firebirds, I think it's just about persisting, and you got to play a game where you just at them the entire time, and you just have to be relentless, and you have to build on that over the 4 quarters. And unfortunately, you can't have 5 minutes of downtime where you just are playing without actually really pursuing that intensity. So, I don't think they're unbeatable. I think they certainly are beatable, and we're going to have the biggest crack we can when we come against them on April 1st.
Now, the season launch is approaching. We've seen over the past 7 days the AFL had their gala up in Sydney. What takes place for the ANZ Championship as you launch into yet another season?
Well, no such, big affair like the AFL have. For our launch, we like to keep it yet again community-based. And so we're offering it for our fans on April 4th. we're having a community day out at the Netball Centre where we'll have an open training session. We'll have some fun events going on beforehand and just basically get to mingle and meet some of all our members and our fans out there that are going to be coming along to our games this season.
So that's Wednesday, April the 4th at the State Netball and Hockey Centre.
That's right. Spot on.
Jump aboard. The Melbourne Vixens will be there to join in the fun with you as we look forward to another season of the ANZ Championship. And if you want to play netball like a superstar, you can sign up for a Vixens clinic and learn skills and have fun with the Melbourne Vixens athletes and qualified coaches. Dates and locations, log on to the website melbournevixens.com.au. And Bianca, what can we expect from the squad this year? I know Madison Brown, I think, has returned, if I have that right, and she's currently nursing a bit of a calf injury. You lost a handy player in Renee Hallinan over to Adelaide, but are you happy with how you're tracking at this point in time?
I am happy. We have had a couple of changes. I think it's not foreign to any ANZ team to have a few changes in the off-season. But we've kept majority of our team together, and I think that's the important part, that we've had the majority of the team been through the last 2 years of quite a lacklustre seasons. And now it's time for us to, work hard, obviously, to change that. So I think defensively, we've got a really strong and versatile defence end. We've got Jiva Mentor, Julie Coletto, where we're able to change positions with them a lot. Cara Richards has come back from Adelaide Thunderbirds, so she's a new addition this year. And then up our attack end, we've got Karen Howarth, who has been in our A&L side, the Victorian Fury, so it's a great opportunity for her to step up into the team. And the only other change is really Ash Howard, who's come in to replace Sherelle McMahon after, obviously, she's stepped away waiting the arrival of her first child.
Now, disappointing season in many ways last year.
Shattering, terrible season.
Missed out on the
You can be honest, it's okay.
Well,
Let's be honest.
it was bitterly disappointing. Can you put your finger on, in having done the reviews, on what led to the inconsistency over the course of the year?
It is hard to really pinpoint. We've analysed it as much as we can possibly analyse it, and I think we can put it down to things that little bit of injury. Obviously, losing Sherelle is a major thing, but we had little niggling injuries throughout the season, and I think just not. Once we lost her, not being able to stand up in our attack end without her, I think we obviously relied on her way too much. So you've got to have a bit of luck with injuries, but you've also got to have every single member of the team ready to go and be able to take their position on the court when they're needed.
You can speak to Bianca Chatfield 9429 1116 with your questions, or text in 0433 98 1116. We've got plenty more coming up after the break.
Yes, plenty more. A Q&A with Bianca. She's the star
Be nice.
goalkeeper. You can follow her on Twitter at Bianca Chatfield, and you've even got your own website, biancachatfield.com, if you don't mind. So we're going to come back, find out what makes a star netballer tick here on the Netball Show.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane!
You know what? First time I heard that, not keen. Now I love it. You're listening to Superwomen Live on SEN 1116 Sports Overdrive. Bianca Chatfield live with us in the studio, 9429 1116 if you'd like to call in, or 0433 98 1116. You can see the Superwomen of Netball, the Melbourne Vixens, in 6 Super Sunday games at Hisense Arena. Tickets at Ticketek. To find a date that suits you, go to melbournevixens.com.au for the full fixture. Right now, we're going to hear a bit from the national coach, Lisa Alexander, speaking to Channel 10's Dan Ryan, previewing the Vixens this year.
It's going to be very, very tough. This next season that's coming up in the championship is going to be one of the closest of all time, so it's very exciting for the fans.
Time now to have a look at the champions from 2009, the Melbourne Vixens. They've missed out on the finals in the past 2 seasons. They finished 6th in 2011. Things were looking good for the Vixens last season until the injury to Sherelle McMahon, and Lisa, that really knocked them out of finals contention. Although, having said that, they were very close until the very last game of the season.
They certainly were, and they're a quality outfit. There's no doubt about that. They are very well disciplined and are very fit. and they will give every team in this competition a real run for their money. And look, they've got lots of options. That's the key thing. They've got great options in their defence end, and horses for courses, they can match up on pretty much anyone in the competition. So they should be very strong there.
What can you predict for them in 2012?
Look, I think they're going to really be having to work hard to pinch a spot into the 4. Certainly defensively, they're very, very strong. So they could be the surprise packet.
Lisa Alexander, the Australia Diamonds coach there. That audio thanks to Channel 10. Speaking to Dan Ryan, Bianca Chatfield and Tristan Fernanda rejoin us in the studio. Some praise there for the defence from the national coach. Nothing less than you'd expect, surely.
Oh, that's right. Happy to take that praise. But, yeah, interesting to sit back and listen to her say that, we'll be really pushing to make that Final 4, whereas in my eyes, I've got, nothing less than a premiership will be good enough for us. So I still have 100% faith that we can win that premiership this year.
Let's go to the phones. 9429 1116. Teo looking at me in a rather puzzled way. 9429 1116. Jump on board, netball fans. Something brand new here on Sports Overdrive. You'll hear it every Sunday evening from 10:30. Denise in Carlton wants to have a chat with you. Bianca, Denise, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Hi, Bianca.
Hi, Denise. How are you going?
Very well. Bianca, just your opinion on your forward line, if for a better word, or your attack line. Where do you think Sarah Wall is going to fit in with Tregear and Madison Brown playing at the level there at the moment?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting, and I think the same is going to happen in our defence end, where there'll be lots of changes. I think that will be one of the weapons that we've had, as Lisa alluded to before, that I see Sarah being able to be quite versatile in either fitting in at wing attack or centre. Which is a great plus for her. So I think we'll see the three of them rotate around quite evenly this season.
Very much. Have a good season.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Denise.
9429 1116, the number if you'd like to get involved, as we turn our attention to the crystal ball, Bianca.
Okay, yeah.
And I know it's hard. Teo's an expert in asking these questions that athletes traditionally have to play the straight bat to, sort of those questions that who do you most fear and the like. So we're not going to trouble you with those.
Okay.
But let's talk more generally about the league. There's been a little bit of change in the off-season, 5 coaches moving around, as I understand it. And how do you see the lay of the land and the way things might shape?
Okay, and you're going to replay this, aren't you, at the end of the season?
No,
see how wrong or right I was.
Your opponents are in the rooms before the games, so
Yeah.
make sure
Okay,
bear that
good.
in mind.
All right, well, I definitely think we're going to see all 5 Australian teams be probably at their strongest. It's always been a bit of a contentious issue as to whether Australian teams or New Zealand teams will dominate this competition. I think this year you'll see the Australian teams dominate it. I think Mystics and Magic will still be a strong side out of New Zealand, but it's unfair that 4 Australian teams can't make the Final 4 because of the way the draw's set up, but I honestly think that the Australian teams will be the 5 toughest.
Give us an insight into what New Zealand's netball culture is like when you go over there and play in front of their fanatical crowds. Obviously, they're carrying, a fair bit of the load of the TV rights with this ANZ Championship. It just seems so foreign to us here in Australia. What's it like when you go over there and actually step into New Zealand, where netball is second only to rugby union as the main sport in the country?
Yeah, you're so right. And all I guess you can say is make the analogy of what AFL is here. That's what netball is over there. It's incredible. We're a lot more well known over there. The crowds are really parochial. So here we're a very passionate crowd, but we cheer just as loudly for the other team as we probably do for Melbourne. We go over there and we're hated, and people will, we've got our surnames on the back of our body suits, and people will just be like, Chatfield, and getting into me from the sidelines. So I actually love that they get so into it.
What's the best sledge you've copped? Has it been in the Australian Netball League?
I don't even know, to be honest. Half the time you just blank it out. But yeah, they're very good at over there. Whether you're playing for Australia or whether you're playing for an ANZ team, they are very happy to bag you out or boo you when they get the opportunity.
Is it true that tests over there are sold out months in advance?
Yes, completely.
Which is quite amazing and gives you an idea as to how much they jump aboard the netball train over there, because they do love the Silver Ferns. And, well, it's been an interesting rivalry over recent years, and it's one... I recall that game, what was it, the Melbourne 2006 Commonwealth Games final between Australia and New Zealand. I think the Kiwis unfortunately got the spoils, but those games leave an indelible print on so many people's minds. And I think with more of that and the exposure that the ANZ Championship is getting nowadays, that netball is really growing in popularity, so much so that I think, Teo, you've even taken up mixed netball.
Yeah.
What position are we playing? Let's change the focus onto you.
And of course, don't forget Hisense Arena. Now, this move...
Hang on, what position? You've just got to at least say that.
Clearly, I'd be a goal defender.
Okay, the tough one.
People could dunk on me, even in netball. This move to Hisense Arena, it really has shown that the team is attracting such a big audience at the State Netball Centre. When it's going off, it's great. It's a really great amphitheatre. The noise and the atmosphere is fantastic. But Hisense Arena, this is a big arena for a big-time team now, isn't it?
It is. It's great that we've grown out of the State Netball Centre. I think it's quite ironic that the NBL is what they've renamed the Cage is actually the State Netball Centre, yet we've gone to Hisense. And it's a great facility. I love that it's right in the heart of Melbourne. You know why Melbourne's classed as the sporting capital of the world, because we have it all so close into the city. And, I remember our premiership in 2009 and Hisense was packed out. It was, we had people, I think, waiting to try and get tickets everywhere and anywhere they could. And it was just the best feeling to play there when it was just so full. So I think we're averaging around 5,000 or 6,000 now, and it's awesome. It's only going to keep growing.
And Melbourne's got a great sporting culture, but as you would know, country netball in Victoria is such a sort of heart and soul thing in the big towns, in the small towns, and it provides so many players that come through the pathways, the state championships that play midweek, and then the feeder competitions that aspire to get to the Vixens. It must really feel great to be not just in the sporting capital, but in Victoria, which takes netball so seriously. It's not just, another sport. It is something that is part of the heart and soul of so many country towns around this state, isn't it?
It is. And I actually went and spoke to our Victorian state teams. Our under-17s and under-19s girls are going away next week to nationals. And I went and spoke to them about just how proud I am to play for Victoria. And, I have growing up in my junior years, but now I can't ever imagine myself playing for another club because we have so many great resources here. It's just an amazing place to play netball and so many great supporters. So we wish the under-17s and 19s good luck too for their nationals coming up.
Now, Bianca, before we wrap up, we're going to go through a few of the questions in regards to your pre-game, some of your funny teammates and the like, so brace yourself.
Okay.
But you touched on Sherelle before. How's she coming along? You're a business partner with her in your company, Pivot Performance. So I'll give that a bit of a plug as well.
Yes. Yeah, she's going really well. She's in the last 2 weeks, she's finally starting to show a belly now, which I think she's happy because she was feeling like she was at that awkward stage where people just thought she was getting a little bit too unfit. She's just really excited. I think it's great for her and her husband, Breck, and an awesome opportunity. And one thing for all the netball fans is that she hasn't actually closed the door on her netball career. She's hoping that all goes to plan and she'll be able to possibly jump back out there next season.
Very good news indeed. It'll be great to see her back in the Vixens colours and you two to be reunited on the court as well as in business. Now, the questions, Teo. Where shall we start? Melbourne's a footy town.
Yep.
Do you follow the footy?
I do follow the footy, yes. I barrack for Collingwood.
Oh.
Don't judge me.
No, it's not an issue for me. I don't mind Collingwood. That's all right.
Yep. My dad did, so I had no choice.
Yeah, just in the family, Teo.
Yep.
Do you have a weakness food? Something that...
Oh, completely chocolate. Surely, that's every girl in the team. That's our weakness food.
Can't even keep it in the house, or you can try...
Yeah, no, I cannot keep it in the house. I would not leave it in there. It wouldn't last.
Do you like watching TV? Favourite TV shows?
Favourite TV shows? Well, at the moment, if I get home in time, I love The Biggest Loser. I think that's a pretty funny one to watch.
Like the test of human emotion on that show?
Yeah. I just love seeing Michelle Bridges in action. I think she's hilarious.
Now, a number of aspiring youngsters would be listening in. What's the best bit of advice you've been given and who gave it to you?
Probably for me was Joyce Brown, and she was a coach of mine when I was 16 and first starting out with Melbourne Phoenix, and she was just always make sure you're having fun, because don't do all this hard work unless you're actually enjoying it at the top. So I always, if I'm not enjoying it, I kind of reflect on things and try and work out how I can make sure that it is fun and it makes the hard work worthwhile. Now,
there's always a pest in a squad of sportswomen. Who's the biggest pest or most annoying teammate that you have in the Vixens list?
Oh, they're all going to kill me, whoever I say.
Just throwing her under a bus.
Well, if you can't name one, are you sure it's not you?
Yeah, maybe I am the most annoying, actually. No, I think... I don't know. I need a bit of help here. Let me get back to that. Can I pass
Sitting
and
on the
come back to
fence.
that?
Yeah, well, it's an open invitation with April Fool's Day coming, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now your teammates will be out to get you.
Yeah, exactly.
Finally, nice, easy one. Why should people of Melbourne get out and support the Melbourne Vixens?
Because we're super women and we're going to get out there and we're going to show everyone this year why Melbourne is the sporting capital of the world.
Like the sound of that. Remember, check out the website, BiancaChatfield.com, and follow her on Twitter at Bianca Chatfield as we let you go. And it's been an enjoyable first show, I think you'd say, Teo. Time flies when you're having fun. Tell us what you need to do to get past the Firebirds next week.
What we just have to go hard for 4 quarters. It's as easy as that. And as one of the older ladies up in Bendigo said to me, she's like, just win. It's simple. So that's what I'm going to take into it.
Bianca, thanks for joining us so much on Super Women Live on SEN Sports Overdrive, and we look forward to meeting more of your teammates throughout the